Republic of Korea had been invaded by a strong element of the North Korean Communist forces, and they came south and overwhelmed most of the country. A resolution was passed to preserve the integrity of that nation and the freedom of its people. They have now turned that country into one of the most successful nations in Asia. I think we look back with gratitude for having served our nation and fulfilled our duties and responsibilities as citizens.
Welcome back as we watch some young people march by. ROTC, Junior NROTC.
I love this. They're carrying pictures. Do you think they're of themselves or loved ones lost?
I think a loved one's lost.
Yes, that is definitely a loved one lost.
Some generational differences.
By the way, this is we're honoring the 70th anniversary, or marking the 70th anniversary of the start of the, 60th anniversary, the start of the Korean War. 61st, the Korean War, the coldest war,
Correct.
They said, Paul Bucha.
An enormous number of still missing in action from that war.
Lots of high schools out there. Mariposa County High School Grizzly Band from Mariposa, California.
All the way from California? Fantastic.
This is the nation's parade. They're here. Very serious about what they're doing. Totally
yes.
Wow.
I'm sure they're not used to this windy weather in California, right?
Well, that's good that we gave them a New York welcome.
And it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Well, it could be my imagination, but I think this Veterans Day Parade is better attended than any in the past probably 10, 15 years. I think it's helped that it's on a Friday. Helps that it's 10 years past 9/11, 2001. And I think people are more mindful than ever of the sacrifice that our brave men and women in uniform are making.
Well, it's also a continuation. New York made a decision 10 years ago that veterans were important, and we started elevating it. There was a time when Mayor Giuliani and I walked down the street with 325 marchers and no one watching.
Is that right?
Really?
We were the grand marshals, the two of us, and the police were briefing him that he had to stop at every red light.
So what changed?
The city made the decision to make a difference.
The city made the decision. I think there's just also collectively a greater awareness of what's happening. And by the way, that was the Wounded Warrior Project. They're terrific.
Wonderful.
And they're supporting those who have suffered grievous injuries in Iraq and Afghanistan and elsewhere.
Well, we're happy to have you back with us at New York City's Veterans Day Parade on 11/11/11. Special significance, right?
Rosanna Scotto, Greg Kelly, Paul Bucha, Medal of Honor recipient. So nice to have you with us again. The Wounded Warrior Project, they are magnificent. They support those who get out of the service with these terrible injuries. And, you know, it's tough enough sometimes getting out of the military when you're able-bodied. But when you have a serious loss of a limb or something like that, there's rehabilitation that must be conducted, and just assimilation. You've worked with the Wounded Warrior Project, Paul.
One of the things that they've also pioneered is the invisible wars. The invisible wounds of war, PTS, there is no D. For the record, it's not PTSD, it's PTS.
When did is that official, really?
That is now official, and I can tell you who did it. Pete Corelli and Amos, Commandant of the Marine Corps, announced to everybody, our soldiers, our Marines do not have a disorder. They have PTS. They are living post a traumatic experience, period.
A lot of these kids, I mean, they are kids. They went to war at 18, 19 years old. I mean, how do you get over that?
And we've also said that the rate of incidence is 100%. Everybody has it. It's just difference in degree. And Wounded Warrior Project said, we're going to mix, co-equal, injuries you see and injuries you do not see, because they're equally as serious.
We want to throw now to our reporter, Elise Zwick. She's, by the way, Elise is the spokesperson for the United War Veterans Council, and she is a special guest. Hello, Elise.
Thank you, Greg. I'm here with Jessica Bryan, who is the founder of Step Into Their Boots. Jessica, can you tell us a little bit about this organization and how it started?
Step Into Their Boots is to honor our fallen veterans. a youth will commit themselves to a year of community service in honor of that veteran to give back for the ultimate sacrifice. They learn all about them. They decorate a pair of combat boots in honor of them, and they wear those boots as they complete their community service.
That's really amazing what you're doing. Do you have a message as well to our youth about getting involved in your organization?
I think it's a great cause. I mean, the mothers appreciate it so much. Their children have given the ultimate sacrifice. The least we could do is give back for what their children have done for us, for our freedom. They serve every day, and they do it unselfishly for us. We could give back by doing this.
Thank you for all you do. Thank you. Back to you, Greg.
Thank you very much, Elise. Elise Wick reporting for us. This looks like this vehicle is perhaps Korean War vintage. What does it look like, Paul?
Korean War, and because that followed on so shortly after the World War II, it'd be left out World War II as well.
My understanding is we see Wounded
Half
Warrior.
tracks. That's what they were.
Wounded Warrior Project team members involved. One of the things they tried to do is facilitate wounded warriors socializing with each other.
Correct.
So they're not suffering alone.
And they also expose them to people in high media events so that they're not something to be put away and hidden from the people. They brought in our double amputees, go to the major golf tournaments, and are there to meet people, greet people. They're brought back into the mainstream of life, and that lets them see that they can carry on everything they want to do in spite of this injury.
What I love about this parade is you learn so much. You learn about the history of our country. You learn about your neighbor. You
Right.
don't know how heroic and all the risks that they took. And this is a reminder of the people that we live with and the wonderful things that they do for our freedom.
We saw West Point a while ago. This is my alma mater, Fordham University, the ROTC program from Fordham, represented here at the Veterans Day Parade. They look sharp.
Do you want to go march with them, Greg? Do you feel a little hankering to jump in there?
Let me tell you something. Marching takes a lot of effort.
Were you in the ROTC?
You know, I went to officer candidate school,
Oh.
and between my junior and senior year, it's like a compressed version of ROTC, and I'm just glad I did it. I really, the Marine Corps was very good to me, and it was a privilege to serve.
Well, I feel privileged sitting next to the two of you who've served in the military and learning your backgrounds and of course, the heroic actions that you took years ago.
Well,
You're
not
speaking
me,
of
it's
Paul.
the men.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not. Speaking of my men that I served with, too.
He flew a Harrier jet, right? So
This is true. This is true.
A jet airplane that goes vertical, which is amazing.
I know. So
It's like a helicopter.
I'm pretty much comfortable with Rosanna avoiding the draft.
all right, listen, we're going to learn a little bit more about the Wounded Warriors program. Please watch.
Originally, the Wounded Warrior Project started, we provided backpacks for returning severely injured servicemen who had nothing in the hospital. And as that population of wounded warriors grew and it's worked its way through the system, different needs would come out. I mean, there was adaptive sports, there's education, there's employment, and also, from the beginning and all throughout, there's a component of combat stress. And sometimes it's a little bit harder in our society because of the stigma with mental health or the perceived stigma. I mean, if you're a leg amputee, it's no problem leaning on your battle buddy for support. But sometimes when, you know, it's combat stress and you need to lean on your battle buddy for support, sometimes it's perceived as a shortcoming. And we want to make sure and get the message out there that it's not. Your battle buddy's there for you, whether you're missing a leg or you're trying to deal with combat stress. Because either way, we need to get you whole so you can, get back into the fight. And in this particular instance, getting back into the fight, that's a successful reintegration back into the civilian world.
I was that guy that just locked everything away and put everything aside, and it took everything from me. The PTS just ravaged me completely. Almost 10 years, to be exact. You know, the only thing I can say is thank you, Wounded Warrior Project, for saving my life. You really did. You saved my family's life.
Korean War veterans are coming our way.
We are marching up Fifth Avenue to celebrate the men and women who did so much for our country. Welcome to the New York City Veterans Day Parade.
You notice the blue is representative of the United Nations under which banner they fought in Korea. They didn't fight under the United States banner per se. They were all part of the United Nations force.
That's interesting. And it was also called the coldest war.
The coldest war, and also the war of most forgotten veterans, because they came home to a very absolutely indifferent reception.
Sounds like the Vietnam War veterans.
Almost like that, but there was a little difference. Ours was at least in the news. They were kind of ignored.
Yeah, Vietnam really kind of commanded the culture for almost a decade.
Correct.
A major issue in presidential elections. From what I know, yeah, and what you just told us, that did not happen with the Korean conflict.
No, in fact, one of the Medal of Honor recipients from the Korean War, Scooter Burke, told me when we went to Saratoga, New York for Flag Day, and he said, "Now I can die. I finally had my parade." And I was never aware that he was not in a parade the entire time between 1995 and 1959.
Do you think veterans were just taken advantage of, and not in the sense of taken advantage of, but people didn't appreciate what they did? And it wasn't until we were attacked here on our own soil did Americans understand what men and women do when they go abroad to fight.
I think the 9/11 had a lot to do with it because there was a certain resurgence of pride and everybody became a warrior, if you will. We were all on alert. But I think also that we have to remember that this nation was tired after World War II, this mass mobilization. And it's absolutely normal that we might want to take a pause and just say, I don't want to hear anymore.
We are recognizing all who served in the United States military today on this Veterans Day. Stay with us for continuing coverage of the Veterans Day Parade.
Hello, troops. Thank you so much for everything you do for us, and happy Veterans Day.
Thank you, and happy Veterans Day.
I hope you're doing well and having a good day. Thank you so much, and happy Veterans Day.
I just want to say that the cast of Glee supports what you do. Thank you so much for your work and for your devotion to our country, and a very happy Veterans Day to you.
Do you want to start singing, Marine?
I can sit down now. When they play that song, the Marine Corps hymn, you know, you have to stand up. This is the Seneca High School Band from Attica, Ohio. And they're pretty good.
I think it's fantastic that people come from the far corners of America to New York to participate in this parade.
It's fantastic. Everybody's showing their pride today on a windy but nice day, sunny day in New York City. We're happy to have you here and celebrate the New York City Veterans Day Parade with us. I'm Rosanna Scotto.
I'm Greg Kelly, along with Paul Buca, Medal of Honor recipient. It's an honor to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
It's very well attended, by the way. I would say several, maybe 50, 60,000 people?
I don't know. It's 5 and 10 deep on the streets, which is fantastic.
35, 40,000 walking in the parade. 270
So do you think this is the largest group so far?
Yes.
By the way, the Toys for Tots program. We are coming up on Christmas, and for a long time now, the Marine Corps, every holiday season, they collect toys for underprivileged children. You can donate an unwrapped toy to a bin. They're located all over the city, and it's a really wonderful cause. Toys for Tots, run by the United States Marine Corps. All right, I think it's time to go to Mike Woods. He has a special guest.
A special guest.
Yeah, we have Terrence Holliday, and he is the Commissioner to the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs.
I'm the Commissioner of the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs.
Yep.
I work directly for Mayor Mike Bloomberg.
And so this is a big production, this whole parade. I mean, what does this day mean for the veterans and everyone out here in New York City?
Well, it's an outstanding day. It's a day where we can remember, we can honor, we can understand the dedication that veterans have done to keep us free. And also it gives us an opportunity to reflect on the young men and women who are still out there doing what they have to do today so that we're able to march up Fifth Avenue.
And what do you think the response is like with the crowd out here in New York? Because, I mean, there's a lot going on, obviously, right now, and there's a lot of support out here. But, do you think it's you doing justice out here?
This morning I was on my way in to an event at Gracie Mansion. There was a young man who was taking a fence apart. He looked up at me and he said, "Good morning, sir, have a nice day." I realized that he was a vet. I followed him across the street, I thanked him. The people around me saw that I did that. The feelings are genuine, the feelings are sincere, and people understand the commitment that men and women are making in the service. we have to understand that today only less than 1% of the population of the United States ever serves in the military. That other 99% realizes what we're doing, and a lot of them, and New York is a very friendly town in terms of the military that says, hello, thank you, we appreciate your service.
And that's what this is all about. So we appreciate it. And we have all sorts of great participants. Is there anything in particular? I mean, we have all sorts of folks that are out here that you look forward to seeing the parade.
Well, I'm the commissioner, and I reach out to all of the services. The fact that I retired from the Air Force as a colonel, I don't want to let you think that I'm leaning one way or the other. I'm just happy to see everybody out here, particularly some of the vets, because we've got them from all generations, from World War II to the current conflict. We've got a lot of people out here. I hope you have a chance to meet Sergeant Dakota Meyer, Buddy Butte, the Medal of Honor. People have to understand what the Medal of Honor means and what it took for these men to step forward and do this. And you would hope that you could do something like that, but you know, they are special. They're very special people, and they did special things.
All right, Commissioner, thank you very much for coming out here. Happy Veterans Day, and hats off to you as well.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Greg Rosanna, we'll send it over to you.
Mike, nicely done. And as we were listening to that interview, we saw some Purple Heart recipients go by on a float. And now we're looking at U-Haul.
The good people from U-Haul actually are doing a lot to hire veterans leaving military service. We heard from J.P. Morgan Chase. Their ambition is to hire 100,000 veterans over the next 8 years in coordination with other companies. And U-Haul is doing much the same thing. They have partnered with the U.S. Army Recruiting Command, and I'm told that this partnership allows U-Haul to provide priority recruiting status to qualified members of the Army for participating in their program. So, veterans.
It's also important to say, as long as this parade's been in New York, from when it was 300 people to 30,000 people marching, U-Haul's been there for the veterans.
Well, that's good to know. Listen, especially in these very tough times where people have a hard time finding a job, it's nice to know that there are companies out there doing their best to hire.
Well, my experience with the U-Haul company when I was in the military, you know, you move all the time when you're in the military. I moved probably, I think, 6 times in 9 years. U-Haul.
Yeah. Really?
Yep. They always.
You drove your own U-Haul.
They drove your own.
That's
you're
a scary
impressed.
thought. All right, we're so happy that you're with us on 11/11/11 to celebrate all our veterans. Please stay with us.